Hi, boys and girls. I hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so this week is a big week in writing, okay? So last week you have written your introduction. You used your information from your Map It Out to place it in your introduction. That was your first step. Fantastic. This week, Miss Vitali is going to start reviewing all of your introductions. She's going to be correcting them and whatnot. So don't worry about your introduction right now. Now we're moving on to the body of your project, of your written story. So your body is actually the beginning, the middle, and the end, or the solution, if you will, of your story. Those 3 sentences that you included in your introduction, but that you also included in your Map It Out, is going to be divided into 3 individual paragraphs, okay? So if we scroll all the way down, I'm going to start with the third assignment of the week, which is about the writing project. I have divided it up for you and I have given you an example for each, okay? So I'm going to read it out to you and then I'll give you an explanation. So the first step is you're going to find your beginning sentence. So Miss Vitali's beginning sentence in her Map It Out and also included in her introduction is, Mrs. Vitali began ordering her food. The next step, after I have written out my first sentence, my beginning sentence, okay, I'm going to stretch out that sentence. I am going to think of everything possible to really describe this sentence. And to do that, I ask myself the 5 W's. We've been looking at the 5 W's since the beginning of the year. So, who, what, where, when, and why. So, I broke it down in my own paragraph. My paragraph is indicated right here in the example section. So, Mrs. Vitali began ordering her food. In that sentence, I have answered the who question. I have answered the what question. But now I have to really give more detail because I haven't answered where, when, and why. So here I go. She really enjoys eating McDonald's hamburgers. Where? At McDonald's. She decided to go to McDonald's on a Tuesday afternoon during her lunch break. When? During her lunch break. Mrs. Vitali was so hungry and wanted to treat herself to something yummy. Why? I've answered why. Boom! That paragraph is done. You have described the beginning of your story. You are to write it on this line paper. This line paper, boys and girls, is the same line paper that you used for your introduction. Okay? You move on to the next section. Now we're at the middle. So in your Map It Out, you had a middle sentence. You had a middle picture. In your introduction, you took that middle sentence and you put it in that introduction as well. Well, now we're going to stretch it out. We're going to create its own paragraph. Mrs. Vitali middle sentence was, Mrs. Vitali really wanted a Big Mac. Unfortunately, they only gave her fries. So, let's stretch it out. Mrs. Vitali really wanted a Big Mac. Unfortunately, they only gave her fries. Answers, who and what. She wondered if McDonald's made this error many times. Where? McDonald's. Mrs. Vitali decided to quickly ask them to fix her order as she needed to head back to work. When? During her lunch hour. Okay. A McDonald's employee explained they were training someone new and that a mistake could happen. Why? Boom! Paragraph number 2 done. Look at that! You guys are superstars. You write that paragraph, again, on this line paper that's indicated as middle or problem. Above here, boys and girls, I wrote beginning. Okay, paragraph, so you can identify which line paper you write which paragraph, okay? Finally, you get to your last one. Mrs. Vitali's solution sentence was, a McDonald's employee fixed her order, but she was upset. So here's the example. A McDonald's employee fixed her order, but she was upset. Who and what? Mrs. Vitali wondered if she would come back to McDonald's during her lunch hour. Where? When? Even though this occurred, Mrs. Vitali realized that she needs to forgive and forget. Everyone can make a mistake. That answers the why. This line paper over here is where you're going to write your solution. So I have divided it up into 3 sections. Now, this section or this activity, you don't have to write 5 specific sentences, one for each W. It could be that in one sentence, you're going to answer the who and the what, the where and the when. So assume you're going to be between 3 to 5 sentences per section, okay? For the beginning, for the middle, for the end, okay? But don't stress about that. What's mostly important here, boys and girls, is that you don't create one really long sentence, right? Because if you create one really long sentence, then you're dragging on too much information. You want to make sure that you're making complete sentences, but that, that you're specific in your sentence, okay? That you're not making them too long, all right? So I've given you my examples here, all right? As well this week, I want you to continue reading your Geronimo book if you haven't finished it already, and working on your Geronimo project, which is your oral. And I've added the words of the week 27 and 28 for the test so that I can see those sentences that you created. So the big part, boys and girls, this week is really the paragraphs that you're going to be writing for your beginning, middle, and end of your story. Otherwise, Geronimo and the spelling test is what you see normally on a day-to-day basis. Okay? So Monday morning, boys and girls, or not Monday morning, sorry, Monday afternoon, 1:30. I have already sent you the link for our Zoom meeting, but I'm going to go into more detail about the actual writing activity. So make sure that you do come and you join me so that I can see your faces, but also that I can explain to you in more details about the activity. Okay, so I look forward to see you then. Bye.